the adventurers arrived at Camp Cade, receiving a mission from Warforged Commander Colonel Blunt to dismantle a Shadow Tar operation. Along the way, they navigated the Balinar forest, overcame puzzles, and faced down old rivals. However, their actions provoked the ancient Druid protectors, the gatekeepers, leading to a tense negotiation that bought the camp 2 weeks of peace. Their journey continued on a patrol boat, the Floating Booty, where they discovered a wrecked patrol boat and its crew's grim fate at the hands of the Kyber cult. Further upstream, they formed an alliance with the goblin village of Mugdar, promising to vanquish a local zombie horde. In the heart of the jungle, they found a massive obelisk, the origin of the zombies. Scaling it, McGregor unblocked his key and they discovered a library of ancient texts revealing secrets of otherworldly realms and imprisoned entities. They also found the spellbook of Lord Ozor, who they later confronted and defeated in a fierce battle. Their victory over Ozor ended the zombie menace, earning them celebration and gratitude from their new goblin allies. The adventurers continued their journey up north, navigating through a fierce storm along the Blackwater River. In the turmoil, McGregor got impaled by a Marrow's trident and was saved by the angelic Elena. A scaly skin with crackling lightning formed around McGregor's neck and shoulders during the healing process. After overcoming the Marrow threat, the team found themselves dealing with a hag, Achaik, in her bulbous growth home high above the river. After a tumultuous encounter, they managed to defeat her, acquiring several hanging soul-filled sacks. On their way to D'Havin's post, they learned of Elena's tragic backstory, her previous group's ill fate at the hands of the cultists they'd previously encountered. They also discovered the deep secrets of Krollo's transformation into a Warforged due to his father's betrayal and experimentation. Krollo, now on a quest to find his sister Silka, sold by their father to Droam slavers, added an extra layer of complexity to the mission. Upon reaching D'Havin's post, a dilapidated town overrun by swamp ravens, the adventurers learned of a local menace, a large red octopus named the Crimson Creeper. Taking up the bounty to defeat it, they ventured into a fight that nearly cost them their lives. However, with strategic spellcasting and powerful strikes, they were able to slay the creature and recover an heirloom from its belly. Returning to D'Havin's post, they discovered the bounty was a ruse by the local smith Dumi, intended to rid the town of them. Despite this, they managed to turn the situation around, keeping the heirloom, the gut-wrencher, for themselves. Dumi, moved by their actions, paid them the gold he had, promising to put in a good word for them with the town's leader, Abum Koman. In their journey, the adventurers tried, but failed, to sell the Soul Crusher Maul to Dumi the smith. They attended a sermon at Yava's church, observing peculiar rituals and learning about a murdered acolyte, Horror. Intrigued by an orc woman with a distinctive limp, they attempted to follow her, but lost her in the crowd. In their quest for information, they visited the dice pit, but the owner, Hafar, denied knowledge of a fighting pit. The group acquired some potions and a favor from Alva, the eccentric grocery store owner, in exchange for a personal favor. They successfully tricked Broger, a guard at the local mansion, into providing a lock of hair for Alva. Their next visit was to the Red Lantern brothel, where they learned more about Horror's murder from a local drunk named Yambul. Returning to the church, they discovered a magical glow from a metal disc and a wardrobe in Yava's room. Yava called the guards on the party when they attempted to investigate. The group decided to rest at Cardweena's Inn, where McGregor was secretly given details about the fighting pit. Next day, they discussed plans over breakfast. They managed to convince Abum Koman to allow them to build a small camp upstream for trade. Abum tasked them to solve the town's food scarcity by hunting local trolls. After studying Horror's corpse, they discovered necromantic influence and physical evidence hinting at his killer. They joined an underground fighting pit called the Carnival in the sewers, where they emerged victorious in a series of challenges set by the Kayestan Clash. The adventurers then headed on a troll hunt in the swamp, guided by Robamar. After overcoming several challenges including an ambush by wisps and bullywugs, they managed to kill 2 trolls and bring back a feast to the town. Meanwhile, their companions discovered a network of secret tunnels under the town, suspected to be related to Yava's church. Back in town, they celebrated their victory with a feast and got ready for their next adventures. In their continued adventures, the party battled and captured 2 trolls with help from the unexpected arrival of Randall. Back in town, Randall recounted how he, Elena, and Henry had conducted an investigation into the church murder. They'd followed a suspicious orc man to a shack in the slums, but lost track of Elena and Henry, who later woke up in a well under the church. Yava, the church priestess, suggested they had been chosen by the lurker. The group then decided to pursue a lead on the murderer's location. In a shocking turn of events, they were met with a powerful warding spell when they approached the murderer's shack. Inside, a battle ensued involving multiple factions including the party, Yava's team, and a shape-shifting Rakshasa. The party emerged victorious, framing the Rakshasa for Yava's death and ensuring the monster's demise was permanent. The group's actions had far-reaching consequences. They were brought before Abum Koman, the town's leader, who was glad the Rakshasa was dealt with but expressed concern about the potential unrest following Yava's death. He suggested the party should leave town and ensured them he could handle the situation. The group conducted some final tasks before leaving, including a venture into an underground chamber where they discovered a plethora of humanoid skeletons. Meanwhile, Elena and Henry revealed they had been granted powers by the lurker, but they decided to stay behind in town to counteract the lurker's influence. With their unique skills, they planned to bring healing and growth to Dhavan's post. They asked Krollo to stay with them to ensure their safety. The remaining adventurers continued their journey north, focusing on rest and skill development. They discovered a series of raised goblin villages and a strange combination of spells that led them to a playful blue dragon in a dreamlike realm. After solving a puzzle, they found themselves feeling slightly more powerful. Eventually, the group came across an oversized, stranded paddle wheel ship. Its disheveled and feverish crew greeted them warmly, inviting them on board the Turun's pleasure cruiser for hot soup. The crew's laughter didn't quite reach their desperate eyes, indicating that the adventurers' journey was far from over. The stranded aristocrats, unaware of the fate of Sir, their homeland, lashed out at the party and a battle ensued. Tax and booty easily overwhelmed the deranged pleasure cruisers and continued on their adventure. Arriving at the pyramid, information gathered covertly by Jimmy was crucial in formulating their next steps. The crew crafted a careful plan to infiltrate the inner pyramid and strike at the Breaker of Bones. The plan hinged on initiating a rebellion among the enslaved goblin tribes, which would serve as a distraction for the orc guards. The Dancing Crow and White Marrow tribes, now united, were instructed to wait for a signal. This signal would be the moment for them to rise against their oppressors and cause as much chaos as possible to divert the guards' attention. Before executing their plan, the crew decided to rest and prepare. They understood the gravity of what was to come, and they needed to be in their best condition, both physically and mentally. The following day, the crew set their plan into motion. They used the keys obtained by Jimmy to access the second layer of the pyramid during a Stolar exchange. Moving stealthily and quickly, they managed to avoid detection by the orc guards. As they moved deeper into the pyramid, they could feel an oppressive atmosphere of dread and darkness. The foreboding presence of the Breaker of Bones was palpable, and it filled them with a sense of urgency and resolve. The party managed to infiltrate the second layer of the pyramid and reached Pitoko's war hall, aided by their goblin allies who created a distraction. Inside the hall, they executed a successful plan to poison Pitoko, and then proceeded to wipe out the orc soldiers in the hall. With Pitoko eliminated, they then confronted a large purple orc guarding the entrance to the third layer and managed to steal his magic stone. As they approached the third layer doors, the doors blasted open and sucked them inside. Next, the adventurers found themselves in a maze-like room filled with battling goblins. After partaking in the goblins' gruesome game and losing, the group managed to sneak out and ventured into another room, where they had a skirmish with a group of gnolls. Upon navigating through the maze, they discovered that the doors behaved mysteriously, changing their destination. They eventually confronted and defeated a group of goblin tinkerers and encountered a familiar face, the half-elf thief Fossey, who offered to guide them to the breaker. She revealed that the breaker had been using Krollo's sister Silka's powers and then mysteriously disappeared after advising the group to rest. They decided to name their group the Tax and Booty before proceeding to confront the breaker. When they finally reached the innermost part of the pyramid, they were met with a horrifying sight. The Breaker of Bones, now a grotesque deity, sat on a throne made of writhing snakes. The monstrous figure emanated an aura of decay and death, and the sight of it struck fear into their hearts. However, the crew did not let their fear paralyze them. They steeled their nerves and prepared to confront the Breaker of Bones. The battle that ensued was fierce and brutal, pushing each member of the crew to their limits. As the battle progressed, the Breaker began to undergo hideous transformations due to the corruption from the gate he guarded. His ally, the assassin Fossey, also joined in the fight, but was eventually defeated. As the Breaker neared defeat, he tried to unseal the gate. However, Krollo, Henry, and Tembo managed to intervene and stop him, with Tembo calling upon the power of Peleir, the god of sun, to finally vanquish the Breaker. With the Breaker defeated and the gate sealed, the party collected their rewards and made their escape as the chamber started to crumble. They emerged to find a revolution led by the goblins they had allied with, and made their escape through a secret passage. Outside, they found the pyramid engulfed in flames and chaos as the slaves made their escape. The party managed to reach their ship, the Floating Booty, and escaped, leaving the burning pyramid behind. As they embarked on their 3-week journey back to Camp Cade, they were left to ponder the aftermath of their mission and their next steps. Tax and Booty sailed southward to D'Haven's Post after their adventure in the pyramid. The crew took turns keeping watch and discussed their distrust of Corporal Blunt, with Tensoon notably distressed. A series of humorous and chaotic events unfolded involving Shadow Tar and a cook-off between Tensoon, who shape-shifted into Krollo, and the real Krollo. Upon arrival at D'Haven's Post, they found the town thriving under Obum Coleman's leadership and Elena's influence. Elena decided to stay in the town a while longer, planning to aid in the reconstruction of Erashual later. The crew then journeyed to Mugdar, where they celebrated with the locals and received encouragement to continue their search for Silka. Afterward, they arrived at the Blackwater River's mouth and met Captain Saltbeard, who offered them a ride back to Sharn. Tembo had a short conversation with a group of cloaked orcs, the gatekeepers, and was given an amber pendant. On board Captain Saltbeard's ship, they entertained the crew with their stories, warned of an upcoming tempest season, and faced an aquatic priest who summoned massive water elementals. In Sharn, they received a hero's welcome, pay, a bottle of sparkling wine, and an invitation to a high-profile gala by Celeria I Artane, the city's wealthiest individual. They were asked to debrief the king and parliament, after which the Prince Reagent Ravon offered to sponsor them if they ever decided to incorporate in Rote or Sharn. Finally, they were given 2 weeks to spend as they wished before attending the Tane Gala. After leaving the parliament, the party visited a tailor named Mulia, then went to an inn in the lower Menthys plateau. En route, they rescued a winged woman named Marin from Warforged abductors. Marin was there to tell the Torchbearer family about their daughter's death. The party later visited the Torchbearers, who revealed they'd hired a detective, Lork, to find their missing daughter. They also discovered the corpse collector's hideout and learned of their sinister operations. Next, they got ambushed by Warforged led by Basher, who was angry because the party had disrupted his corpse collection operation. During the battle, Ina, who claimed to be Lork's partner, revealed herself as an ally to Basher. After a fierce battle, the party interrogated Ina and learned she and Basher were previously Warforged who had undergone a transformation into flesh-born bodies by a being named Radix. They then visited the Steel Elysium, a club run by Radix where Warforged are transformed into flesh-born. One of their own, Krollo, decided to undergo the procedure and return to his original half-elf body. The party then discovered Radix's plan to amass a Warforged army to destroy Sharn and found that Radix was created by the Lord of Blades, who resides in the Mournlands. In a subsequent battle, they defeated a powerful Warforged called the Subjugator and destroyed Radix's core. After a hard day, they retreated to the Four Sails Inn to rest and heal their wounds. The next day, they attended an underground fighting ring. The crew participated in the Burning Ring fighting tournament, where McGregor emerged as the winner. Afterwards, they bumped into an old rival, Tung, and his orcish gang. A skirmish ensued, ending with the crew calming a giant crocodile. The crew also dealt with personal matters, with McGregor visiting an old distillery, Henry donating his expedition earnings to a temple, and TenSoon stealing the quiver of Elanna from Jimmy. They learned that their next objective was to find Krollo's sister. The crew visited Tung's gym where McGregor managed to extract some information from him regarding a stolen stash of Shadow Tar. Meanwhile, Vincent discovered that his family was in financial trouble and needed to complete a task at the Tain Gala to forgive some debt. Henry also reconnected with his mentor, Rux, and learned about potential improvements he could make to his projects. At the Tain Gala, Vincent revealed his family's situation and the crew agreed to help. They split into two teams to gather information, with one team managing to convince the lead investigator of the Dark Lanterns, Mina Delidna, to share information about the stolen relic. Krollo also found his sister, Silka, who had been saved by a Warforged named Spanner. In the midst of a lively gala, Silka's Detect Thoughts spell identified a thought-blocking void slowly moving on the dance floor. As TenSoon performed a tale of Tax and Booty's adventure, Magnus, a long white-haired man wielding a terrifying red blade named the Soul Blade, and his sister in matching black attire stormed in. After the crowd evacuated the area, a battle ensued, with Magnus accusing Celeria of betrayal before escaping with a small scroll and emblem from her. Henry, Tembo, and Jimmy remained inside the gala to clear the party's name while the rest of Tax and Booty pursued Magnus, only to find the Skyway district crumbling to the ground, and a massive explosion originating from the lower districts of Sharn. Amidst the chaos, the party was attacked by demons and forced to retreat to the airship docks. They boarded a vacant airship and chased Magnus into a storm called the Tempest, battling more demons on the way. The airship was damaged and crash-landed into the ocean, where a mysterious force protected them from the harsh storm conditions. The brambles from Randall's blade created a protective dome around the ship, allowing them to sail through a battlefield of mermen and aquatic beasts. After a dragon-like monster broke through the dome, it was slain by the group, leaving them alone in the storm. As they rested, Randall, still at the helm, was accosted by a mysterious voice, Tamerlane, accusing a woman, Malara, of attempting to cheat him of his followers. Randall fell unconscious, still gripping his blade, Tamerlane, and even after being treated, remained so. Eventually, the ship emerged from the storm, sailing under clear blue skies. Our band of adventurers found themselves in the aftermath of a fierce battle, with their knowledgeable sailor, Randall, unconscious and their ship, the Sea Queen, adrift at sea. They took to the task of managing the ship, even as they noticed an ominous storm, the Tempest, retracting back towards their vessel. They decided to follow the storm wall northwest, hoping to find land. Roland and Vincent, while sharing a few glasses of wine, discussed the possibility of giving Silka, Krollo's sister, a home at the vineyard. Meanwhile, a heavy rain washed away the remnants of their previous battle, forcing most of the crew below deck. TenSoon attempted to help Randall using ritualistic methods, but despite all efforts, Randall remained unconscious. The crew spent their time sharing stories, cooking, and managing the ship. Krollo shared the fate of their father and his Warforged body with Silka, a revelation that overwhelmed her. However, their moment of respite was short-lived. During TenSoon's watch, Sahuagin infiltrators snuck aboard the ship, leading to another battle. The crew fought off the intruders and were able to steer the ship away from the storm. The intruders didn't have anything useful, so they were kicked overboard, leaving the crew to rest and recover. However, the sighting of a mysterious red light underwater and an enormous shark fin circling the ship kept them on edge. Morning brought a playful challenge, in which Tensun was tasked to place a flower in Crollo's hair. As they were enjoying this moment, the ship was attacked by sharks, one of which was large enough to bite the hull. As the crew fought the sharks, Randall suddenly woke up, finding himself in a strange stone corridor, mounted on a large forkeye named Guardian Kova. They fought their way through the corridor, slaying devils and eventually a large demon. After defeating the demon, Kova led Randall to a portal to an endless battlefield. Kova relayed a message from his queen, Melora, the Wild Mother, asking for Randall's crew's aid in preventing a great scar from carving its way through her creation. With his consciousness returning to his body aboard the ship, Randall joined the fray. The crew was able to defeat the sharks, with McGregor landing a particularly devastating lightning strike. The crew welcomed Randall back and debated the significance of his newly acquired blade. The group noted that they had now met Naldhair, the god of mischief, and one of Melora's powerful champions, which was unusual as gods of Aberon don't usually make direct contact with the inhabitants of the plane. They attempted to contact their friends and family using sending spells, but the attempts were met with unclear messages and static feedback. Amidst the uncertainty, the crew decided to rename their ship, with Silka's Revenge winning the vote. As they debated their next move, whether to chase Magnus or brave the Tempest, they learned from Vincent's contact with one of his mother's guards, Sir Bane, that his mother was heading east to safety. The crew's path was uncertain, but they were determined to face whatever lay ahead. The party sailed into Jigao during its annual Festival of Merit. They participated in several challenges, meeting characters like Dermot and Ao along the way. After navigating a maze, winning a swimming race, triumphing in an arm wrestling contest, and solving a series of riddles, they embarked on the grand finale, a race through the Emerald Grotto. There, they defeated a massive shark and retrieved a golden pendant. Suddenly, they fell unconscious and experienced a shared vision. In it, a melancholic warrior named Elixion, shackled and lost in darkness, pleaded for rescue. After awakening, they were declared the festival champions, earning them gold and a free stay at the Unbroken Tusk Inn. The day ended with Tensun seeking assistance to find his family, with Crollo offering his help. McGregor had a peculiar dream and woke up to a knock at the door. His roommates found him hovering with dragon wings above his bed, and blue scales had appeared along his back and arms. Elder Urshra wished to speak with the party, asking them if they could provide any insight into a vision he had the previous night about a golden amulet and a handsome man with curly hair. Tensun shared details of his own vision, but concealed information about the Jewel of Three Prayers. Urshra believed that their visions were leading them towards Bazoxan, a grim town under the control of the Aurora Watch and a former seat of power for the Betrayer gods. He explained the creation mythology of Exandria and the legend of the Apotheon, a great champion who had received gifts from the gods. The party decided to head to Bazoxan and found Roland at the dry docks taking care of ship repairs. While they were away adventuring, Roland would lease the ship for fishing and business ventures. They also funded Everfull sails for Silka's Revenge. Before leaving, they collected some books on history and religion, bid farewell to the elders, and encountered a dying dragon-like demon on the road, ridden with arrows. McGregor discovered a silver ring with a sapphire inlay and the initials WW engraved into the band. On the road, the party battled a Hizrao, a huge demon with an unbearable stench and the ability to create nauseating gas clouds. After a fierce battle, they managed to defeat the Hizrao and line the fallen soldiers along the road with the message, "Lives given to the protection of the road," and took their dog tags to the commanders in Bazoxan. The journey continued, with the party setting off early and following the Emerald Loop. The day passed uneventfully until a wounded farmer approached them at midnight, begging them to save his family from an underground beast. They followed his directions and found themselves at a farmhouse, where a young girl was violently pulled away from the upstairs window. Using his cape of the mountebank, MacGregor and Crollo dimension-doored into the room, only to fall into the farm's soil. Instead of a farmhouse, a menacing 3-story tall jack-o'-lantern stood before them. The Pumpking, as it was known, raised the generations of buried farmers as his minions and attempted to devour the party. After a grueling fight, they managed to defeat the Pumpking and found a note about a powerful dozer, a feud between families, and a mysterious box. Inside this box, they found the Mannheim family ring. Tax and Booty continued their journey, spending a day resting and recuperating after a battle with the Pumpking. On the second day, they encountered an Uday corpse surrounded by dead barbarians, which had been feeding grounds for a Vrok, a large vulture-like beast. They managed to kill the Vrok and continue their journey. They found 3 dead bodies by the road, seemingly members of a highwayman band. Nearby, they found a book detailing the mechanics of enchanting. Later, they arrived at the Emerald Loop caravan stop, a lush forest oasis in the barren landscape. Vincent recognized the stop from his reading as a significant waypoint for hunters, overseen by a pair of dryads called the Acorn Sisters. At the caravan stop, they mingled with other travelers, including a group of adventurers they had previously raced in the Emerald Grotto. They swapped stories and celebrated, but the jovial atmosphere was disrupted when bandits attacked, seeking revenge against the other adventuring party. The party planned to deceive the bandits and hand over the adventurers, but the plan quickly fell apart and a fight ensued. During the fight, Randall's blade, Tamerlane, burst into flames and began speaking to him, urging him to kill. As Randall succumbed to Tamerlane's influence, he began attacking both enemies and allies, draining their life force into his blade. Despite the chaos, the party managed to defeat the bandits, but Randall's erratic behavior created tension within the group. Randall and MacGregor went to the Acorn Sisters for help, but Randall's aggressive demands for a blessing made them uncomfortable. They gave Randall 2 ancient potions and asked the party to leave in the morning. Lanata, one of the Acorn Sisters, spoke to Tensuan, confirming their journey's importance and the divine power within the Jewel of 3 Prayers. Despite Randall's behavior, she urged them not to abandon him. Meanwhile, Vincent followed the other adventuring party to their camp and offered apology and a share of the loot. The party, accompanied by Vincent, set out from the Emerald Loop caravan stop and headed east along the hallowed path. They journeyed through a desolate wasteland, where the only companions were carrion birds and the remnants of ancient, unholy monuments. Although warned of the dangers of the path, they encountered no demons. MacGregor shared a dream of a battle between an elf and an orc. This dream bore striking similarities to religious texts and visions Vincent and Randall had had. They identified the elf as the god of magic, Corellon, and the orc as the god of destruction, Gruumsh. The party speculated that the battlefields seen in MacGregor's and Randall's visions were the same, but from different times, possibly dating back to the ancient event known as the Calamity. Throughout the journey, the party stayed connected with Silka, who updated them about her activities and health status. They also experimented with Crollo's echo, found a way to calm MacGregor's mind, and battled shadow demons and vengeful souls of dead Aurora Watch soldiers. This battle resulted in MacGregor's temporary death and subsequent resurrection. Their journey led them to the Barbed Fields, ground zero for the final battles of the Calamity. Here, they found the gruesome aftermath of a battle, including the corpses of Ahizrao and 3 Aurora Watch members. Their journey concluded as they reached the gates of Bazoxan and Betrayer's Rise, where they were met by soldiers of the Aurora Watch and asked to identify themselves. Tensuan, meanwhile, assisted with the healing process, demonstrating his understanding of medicine to stabilize patients and treat minor wounds. Their combined efforts greatly helped the infirmary, and Bodha expressed her gratitude, informing them that they would be welcomed back anytime. MacGregor met with Varen at the barracks. Varen, although initially cautious, warmed up to MacGregor after seeing his sincerity and commitment to help. He briefed MacGregor on the various challenges they were currently facing in Bazoxan. The guard force was struggling to maintain order with the ever-increasing threat of the abyssal forces. Varin also mentioned that there had been some mysterious disappearances in the city, and they had yet to figure out the cause. During the conversation, MacGregor observed that Varin was indeed a very capable leader. He was methodical, pragmatic, and above all, deeply cared for the people under his charge. MacGregor offered his assistance in solving the city's problems, which Varin appreciated. Vincent, meanwhile, paid a visit to the crematorium. There he encountered a scholarly-looking man engrossed in his work. The man introduced himself as Prolix, a scholar from the Allegiance of Alcide. He was in Bazoxan to investigate the strange phenomena that had been occurring in the city and had chosen the crematorium as his base of operations due to its relative seclusion and quiet. Prolix was interested in the party's experiences in the Emerald Grotto and asked Vincent to recount their encounters in detail. He made copious notes, seemingly fascinated by the tale. Prolix also shared some of his findings regarding the city's history and its connection to the betrayer gods. He hypothesized that the abyssal forces were drawn to the city due to some residual energy from the time of the betrayer gods within Betrayer's rise. Prolix also mentioned that he had seen the blonde elf woman, Aloysia, visiting the crematorium on a few occasions. He found her interest in the place odd but didn't think much of it. When Vincent inquired about the consortium of the Vermilion Dream, Prolix explained that they were a group of scholars and treasure hunter.